really glad Jansen made it out today. I can't tell you. That's one of the most enthusiastic clubs in the district. If you ever get a chance to visit them at 6:30 in the morning, do that because you're going to leave energized. I was asked the question, what does leadership mean to me? Most of us have had the experience where we've gotten into a leadership position because we were there. Showing up is a big part of leadership. But probably the beginning and the most important part is being willing to serve. Leadership, to me, is about people with passion and purpose, willing to sacrifice to make an impact. Leadership is not about selling your product. Leadership is about giving people what they need. Leadership can be as simple as being kind to another and serving. Leadership is a process where nothing but courage counts as a starting point. Leadership is about being a visible example of the qualities and characteristics that you hold valuable. When I was young, I practiced judo. Now, some people say I was lucky. From the time I was 5 years old until I was 12, I practiced several hours a day. I had the benefit of not only going to a dojo where I had a sensei who instructed me, but my father was a black belt, and my uncle was a black belt. So everywhere I was inundated with information about the art of judo rather than the sport. When I turned 12, my sensei decided that several of his students would be going to Seattle to compete in the national competition. I was included as one of his students as a kid of 12 years old. Because of my size and weight, however, I was 5'10", 220 pounds. They didn't feel comfortable having me compete with the 12-year-olds. So I competed with the adults. I knew I would get thrashed. I looked out over my competition, not really seeing people, I saw adults. As the tournament went on, I made it to the final competition. I stood up. In the tradition of judo, I looked across at my opponent. It was Paul Bunyan. The man was a giant. We bowed in the tradition of judo, stepped forward, I grabbed his lapel and his sleeve, and suddenly, as I looked up, I was being lifted off the ground. He had the strength to just lift me off the ground. The only thought I had was survival. As he tried to throw me, my quickness came into play, and I always was able to land on my feet. Time after time, I narrowly avoided being thrown. Now, in a judo tournament, all you need to do is get 1 point to win. The referee will shout out, "Ippon!" And then the tournament is over. The competition ended. The person who got Ippon wins. I was just dancing around the floor with it like this, trying to move and be alive. And then it happened. His foot came in an arc, sweeping toward my own. And narrowly, I hopped over it and just missed it, but I saw his foot as it continued the arc, and I tapped it with my foot, pulled down his lapel, and down he went, and suddenly, thunderously, Ippon! Oh my God! I had just won the heavyweight national championship. Some people say I was lucky. Later, I went off into the Army, served a tour, came home, met my uncle. My uncle, also a black belt in judo, invited me to his dojo. Off we went. We stood on the mat, we faced each other, we bowed. It was then I realized that I was a full head taller than he was. So in this case, I'm looking down. I stepped forward, I grabbed him by the lapel and the sleeve. I tried to pressure him into different moves so I could gain some sort of advantage. He didn't budge. He was like concrete. He was just stuck. No matter how hard I tried to push, he was stuck like an iron rod. I don't know how he did it. Then suddenly, like magic, I am on the floor looking up. He reaches down to me with his hand, and he says, "Oh, Bobby, you're a strong boy." And he pulls me up. My uncle, in his humble way, was teaching me that even people who are considered experts can learn. To this day, I don't know how he did that, but I have never again made the mistake of stepping on a mat with my uncle. I'm going to share with you 7 secrets that I read about, and I'm sharing them with you today, paraphrased by Carmen Gallo, who wrote an article for Toastmasters International. And I'm sharing these because these are congruent with my own life experience. First of all, demonstrate enthusiasm constantly. People who love something are enthusiastic about it. If you have a passion for something, you can't fake it. You either have it or you don't. Articulate a compelling course of action. Have someplace you want to go. You're guiding these people. Be enthusiastic about it, but have a place to go. Give them something that they can follow. It's one thing to say we're going to double our sales in a year. We're going to have 100 new clubs this year. That's not a very exciting goal. But we can inspire our audience by having a succinct and an important goal that helps each member realize their dreams. That's one of the vision sentences in the Toastmasters International vision statement. Helping members realize their dreams. It's succinct, it's valuable, and it's what we really do. Sell the benefit. How is Toastmasters going to help you? Recently I was talking to a director at TriMed. He said that he had heard of Toastmasters, and in fact, he had considered joining a club. I said, "What, did you know there used to be a club down at TriMed?" He said, "No." He said, "Why don't you contact me?" And he gave me his card. You think I'm going to contact him? I had a chance to sell the benefit, and he knows a little bit about Toastmasters, thank goodness. Tell more stories. Invite participation. You want to have people who feel part of the project. If you're out there and you're telling people what to do and how to do it, it's not going to work. You've got to find out what they need and invite participation. People want to feel like they belong. People want to be a part of the process. Reinforce optimism. In the darkest days of World War II, Winston Churchill was overly optimistic. You've got to be that way. Colin Powell said that optimism is a force multiplier. It will enhance the other 6 secrets. You've really got to be optimistic about where you're going to go. A lot of people here have been here for years. I see Fred and Dick and the Richard Bowley and Dave Mason, who have been members of Toastmasters for decades. They are the leaders that can guide the new leaders. Encourage the potential. As a leader, we plant seeds. We nurture them, and we help people grow. In every walk of Toastmasters, we need to do this. How many times do we miss an opportunity just because we fail to look? There's opportunities for new clubs, opportunities for new members, opportunities for members to achieve their goals. That is part of what I believe leadership is. Setting an example, guiding others, being an anticipatory guide to help people along the path, to help them realize their dreams. That's what I'm going to do, and that's what you can do too. Fellow Toastmasters.